The Christmas Story, a miracle from an empty hand. On a cold winter afternoon as Christmas approached, a thin boy stood in front of a bakery in a small town. His eyes followed the fragrant loaves of bread inside the glass window, but his hands were empty. The bakery owner, an elderly man known for being strict, noticed the boy standing there for a long time. He opened the door and said, "Hey kid, what are you doing here? If you're not buying anything, leave and don't bother my customers." The boy hesitantly stepped inside, lowered his head, and softly said, "Sir, I want to buy a loaf of bread, but I have no money. Could you please give me one? I'm very hungry, and my mother is seriously ill at home. I will work to pay you back anytime." The bakery owner sneered. "No money, no bread. We don't do charity here." The surrounding customers looked at the boy with pity, but no one said a word. At that moment, a woman standing at the end of the line stepped forward. She looked at the bakery owner and said, "Let me pay for this boy's bread." The bakery owner paused for a moment, then smirked. "All right, but I want to see a miracle. If this boy can fill his empty hand, I will give him a loaf of bread for free." The woman looked at the boy, smiled, and said, "Open your hand." The boy hesitantly held out his small hand. The woman placed her hand over his and softly prayed, "Dear Lord, please fill this hand with your mercy." When the woman withdrew her hand, the boy's hand was still empty, but his eyes shone as if an invisible strength was filling his heart. The bakery owner suddenly felt uneasy, his feet rooted to the ground as he was about to refuse. A customer in the shop suddenly spoke up. "I want to buy bread for this boy." Then another said, "I want to help too." Before long, the boy's empty hand was filled with bread, milk, and even some loose change that kind customers gave him. The bakery owner watched the scene in silence. He hurried inside, personally took the largest loaf in the store, placed it in the boy's hands, and said, "This is my gift to you. Take it home to your mother, and remember, faith can change the world." The boy held the bag of bread tightly, tears welling up as he whispered his thanks. And so this Christmas, the boy and his mother would have a warm and love-filled holiday surrounded by the kindness of others. As the bakery door closed, the kind woman looked at the owner and gently said, "An empty hand can hold miracles if we open our hearts." The bakery owner lowered his head slightly, his eyes growing contemplative as he reflected on those words. Outside the bakery, snow continued to fall, blanketing the small town's streets in white. Christmas lights sparkled brightly everywhere. The woman stepped out of the bakery, leaving behind a warm smile on her lips, like an angel who had just completed her mission. The boy stood watching the woman's figure until she gradually disappeared behind the snow-covered houses. The bakery owner remained still, his gaze following the boy and the woman as if pondering everything that had just unfolded. And from that moment on, the bakery owner learned that true miracles are not found in grand gestures, but in simple acts of kindness and sharing.